What's going on, party people? Welcome to Culture 316. I'm one of your hosts, Jordan Ahisi.
And Edge's Throat Goat Mo. What's up, guys?
Hope everyone is having a great, prosperous weekend. Thank you guys so much for tuning in from wherever you are, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and all that. Be sure to rate the podcast, give us a like, a share, a comment, a subscribe from wherever you are. We greatly appreciate it. And this is how our show continues to move forward, is with your support. So do all of that. We're not going to waste anytime. Oh, and one more thing, since there's a lot happening in wrestling this week, we are going to be doing a live reaction, or like a post-show type of situation, to All Out on Sunday. So right after the show, we'll be going live. We're going to be sending a link out from our social media spaces, so be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff, and keep up to date with some information. But without further ado, let's get into the show. So first things first, Bianca Belair. It was announced last week that Bianca Belair has signed with WME. For those of you who do not know, WME is a entertainment agency that represents the likes of John Cena, Logan Paul, Denzel Washington, Ben Affleck, and so many other athletes, entertainers, and so forth and so on. My number one question to you, Mo, was what does this say about Bianca Belair's current and potential star power within WWE and outside?
Well, I already knew when I first laid eyes on her that she's very marketable.
Mm,
Just off of the look, just the way she carries herself. She's someone where you could have her on, like, Sports Illustrated, but she's also like beautiful and gorgeous and feminine enough to where you could have her market things. Like, that's why Fenty obviously has a collaboration with her.
yes.
You know what I mean? She's very quick. She picks up on a lot of new things. I do feel like she's on the rise to becoming her own star.
Mm,
Not quite maybe like Sasha Banks, where she's kind of on the Rock's path, but she's kind of like a WWE man-made star.
mm,
They're like, this is the direction at least I see her going,
yeah.
you know? Um, but congrats to her. I'm not shocked at all whatsoever. I felt like I saw it coming the moment they decided to strap the rocket to her with the WrestleMania match that she had going on with Sasha. You could tell they were
Mm-hmm,
very high on her, and they had every right and reason to be.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's just my take on it. How about you?
I agree with you 100%. There were a couple things that I feel play a big factor into this. Number one, Bianca is a star. We all know that. But when I think about Nick Khan, I feel like this was something that he probably was a catalyst to. For those of you who don't know, before Nick Khan was the president of WWE, he was the co-head of television at CAA, which is another entertainment agency. And I feel like if he wants to create mainstream stars, I feel like one of the things that he wanted to do was put WWE superstars in a position where they can get agents outside of WWE and things of that nature. Um, so that's the first thing that kind of came to mind. But the second thing is, yeah, everything that you said. Bianca is a star. I think that we all knew that she was a star. Extremely marketable, extremely beautiful, extremely athletic. Um, I think that WWE is very big and keen on her because you never hear about Bianca in some trouble. You never hear about Bianca being problematic. She's always minding her business, getting to a bag, and putting on great performances, whether it's a promo, whether it's a match. Um,
She'd be
and
minding her business with her sewing machine, child. She'd be on her time.
literally minding her business, living life with her man Montez Ford, and just doing her, like, and just chilling. And I feel like this is very much well deserved. I think that Bianca is probably going to be on the path um of a Sasha Banks, which is on the path of a Rock. And the reason why I say that is because I think that she's super young, and I think that there was a reason why they brought her in young, and kind of using her right now to the extent that which they're using her, because I feel like, she's gonna be able to accomplish everything fairly early, and then the next thing for her is gonna be like, okay, what's the next step? And then it's probably gonna be movies and television and all that. Um, and rightfully so, because now with NXT, with their NIL program of all these college athletes, like, they're trying to create a system where they're in and out, you know, in their early 20s out by their early 30s, essentially, so that they can just move on and do different things, because they understand that this is a young man's game. So very, very proud of Bianca. We all know that Bianca is a star, um, and I'm very, very excited to see what she does. So I was going to ask, did you want to say anything else pertaining to that, or we can move on?
The only thing I was just wondering was, did they select this for her just because they're worried, just in case something happens with Sasha? 'Cause I feel like they wanted all this with just Sasha, because I feel like
Mm,
they always just choose, like, their golden child, and
yeah,
she still is their golden child. Don't get me wrong; she's not
absolutely.
really going anywhere. But I'm wondering if they just wanted to just like prep someone else to just be in that seat, because I think Bianca's very loyal to the company.
Yeah,
um, and like when that situation happened with Naomi and Sasha and they interviewed her, she gave such like the most perfect PR answer I think I could possibly have gotten, you
that's a
know?
fact.
Like she didn't throw shade towards them, she didn't throw shade towards the company. She kind of literally just said like, "Ain't none of my business."
Right,
I
right.
respect those females, they're great talents, ain't none of my business. Ask them, they'll know, I love my
That's a fact.
company. Go WWE. Like
Right,
literally, that's all
literally.
she basically said.
Like, go WWE, like, but I'm not saying anything about Sasha and Naomi. I
Right.
I don't think it's a
Yeah.
matter I don't think it's a matter of, like, them prepping her to be in that seat. I mean, obviously, in business and life, you don't wanna put all your eggs in one basket, right? And I feel like that's what WWE
Right.
is doing. So you don't wanna, like, put all your stock in Sasha, and then Sasha just, ups and leaves for whatever reason, which she's totally justified to do, by the way. Not slandering that.
Mhm.
But I feel like the investment in Bianca, as well as when Sasha and Naomi come back, which we will talk about. Um, I don't think it's a matter of prepping one instead of the other, as opposed to the powers that be in WWE understanding the value of black women, when it comes to mainstream star power. When we look at, even Sasha Banks, even though Ronda Rousey was the more popular name in fighting, Sasha Banks was the name in WWE that generated the most interest, even when Ronda was in WWE. When we talk
Mhm.
about Naomi and when she won the title back in 2017, and then she had that glow challenge where people were dancing to her theme song on the internet. Like, that's part of the value of black women in your company and having crossover star power. So I think that WWE just understands, like, okay, we have black women as superstars. We need to be investing in them, because if the idea is for us to be mainstream and for us to be crossover, these are the people that are going to be crossovers. I don't think it's a one or the other thing, but I think it's like we're going to invest a little bit here, a little bit here, and a little bit here.
Yeah, no, when you put it that way, and I had to think about it a little bit longer, that does make a lot of sense because they extended like both awards to Sasha and I believe Bianca for the
Mm-hmm.
FCs stuff like
Yeah,
that. You know what I mean? So I love the direction that they're going. I love to see black women win, just black people in general, win in
absolutely.
WWE. 'Cause I feel like we're heavily slept on.
Mm-hmm.
So congrats to her. I can't wait to see where this goes. And
Absolutely.
where this takes her, and if she's going to be with the company in the next 5 years, or she's going to be doing other projects and pursuing other means while she stays with the company. So good on her.
Good on her. Now moving
She's our
on.
trailblazer.
She is our
Mhm.
trailblazer. I was gonna say, now moving on. Um, so moving on to some AEW news. Sammy, I'm calling him Samuel. Samuel Guevara and Eddie
Some
Kingston
Samuel.
got into a backstage incident pertaining to a promo that Eddie Kingston had cut in the ring about Sammy. Sammy then had replied to Eddie Kingston with comments about his weight, and Eddie took a swing. From there, Eddie Kingston was suspended. He ended up coming out and saying that it was his bad, that it was his wrong. Eddie Kingston ended up being on the card for All Out, where he will be facing Ishii during the 0 hour. But I kind of wanted to take a little bit of time to kind of examine this incident, and wanted to ask, who was in the wrong? Who was in the wrong during this incident?
We all know who's in the fucking wrong, and it was Sammy to begin with, because he could sit there and write in his whole statement that they went over things and he never once mentioned to comment about his weight. But did that really have to be said? Like
Mm,
in this time and day? do you really have to sit here and like go over that with someone, that you should be commenting on someone's weight? We just
Yeah.
covered it in the show, so I'm not going to sit here and reiterate myself. We just talked about how it affects both the men and the women. We
Yeah.
have all these pressures to have a certain physique for the camera, and just you could just tell off of the way like Sammy carries himself, not just as a character, but when you see him in his interviews and shit, he carries himself like a fucking dickhead. He's very arrogant. He's very full of himself. He's very much conceited. So I don't just imagine that this was just like a matter of that Eddie was triggered just by the promo. I feel like there's been something brewing.
Yeah.
You know, and on top of that, Sammy's already a target
Yeah.
because I mean, we all have not forgot about that incident that happened on the, I forgot what's the name of the podcast with the bald guy or whatnot that he got on, but you know what he said about Sasha. We're not going to say that word on here, but it was a very
Yeah.
inappropriate term that was very insensitive to a lot of victims. It rubbed a lot of people away from both parties, male and females. And Sammy, I feel like, got away with it, like, you know, scot-free. You know,
Yeah.
this man got at most just a little suspension and a sensitivity class, basically a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
You know, so you should know even better since you took these fucking sensitivity classes, and you're gonna come back and you're gonna cut an insensitive promo about this man's weight. Knowing already, and also here's another thing I didn't like. I didn't like how he also in his statement wanted to comment on Eddie's anger issues. Like, to me, I just thought that was just an unnecessary jab.
Yeah.
That's his business. Okay. And if you know that he has alleged anger issues, if that is in fact true, that he does need anger management, why would you comment on the man's weight? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Me personally, I don't like Sammy. I would find any reasons to swing on Sammy. That's why I feel like, and that's what I feel like happened with Eddie. We all seen that little video that I shared last
on
week
Twitter,
where he sometimes Eddie does do shoot promos. Sometimes they're just promos where he's just being a dickhead and he's acting like himself. Me personally, I feel like every time Eddie cuts a promo, it's a little bit of venting in there.
Oh yeah.
You know, when he got to Sammy's name, yeah, when
he knew the assignment.
The gentleman got to, yeah, I feel like when they got to Sammy's name or whatever, Eddie got a lot of steam out with him. A lot of steam. Like, it was a little bit of foreshadowment, if you will. It came off as if he was looking for a reason to hit him, yes. But I do feel like he had every right to hit him, because why would you? Like, we literally just went over for like the past 6 weeks. It was a war on the internet about commenting on Adam Cole's weight because he's too small, he's too skinny, he's flabby, he needs to get back into the gym, he needs to get bigger, he needs to get bulkier, he'll look better in ROH, da-da-da-da. Why would you take that same thing and use it towards Eddie? Because not for nothing, there's nothing wrong with his weight. He moves just fine in the ring. He's a damn good character. I said this many times before. What I love about Eddie Kingston is that he just feels like a real guy, a real dude. He's very relatable. And that's like the biggest thing that is important when you're in this business. You know, you want to be a character and you want to be somebody, have a look that is very relatable. And that's something that Sammy just isn't. Yeah. So I feel like it comes off like jealousy. I feel like that's the only reason why he probably took that jab.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people hate Sammy because he's not relatable. He's a fucking dick. Like, in his head, he really thinks that he has a legacy going on. Like, I feel like in his head, he thinks he's one of the 4 pillars to AEW, and then, like, it's really not it. Like, he could go missing from television right now for 6 months. He could be gone. And I promise you the ratings wouldn't move, because not for nothing, we didn't want to see you on TV. If anything, I'm pretty sure that a lot of the TV channels turned off or turned to a different channel when it was him and Tay on TV for weeks and weeks and weeks. Like, he's not interesting. He's not engaging. The last time he was engaging was because he was paired with Jericho. And I feel like that's what gets to his fucking head.
Right.
I think that because he had that one, you know, he got gassed up as a quote unquote Spanish god or whatever the fuck Jericho labeled him as. I feel like he took that. He ran with it. He also sees that Tony Khan is backing him on what he does, because if I was Tony Khan and someone was going to drop that word on a podcast, I don't give a fuck if that happened not on my territory. That's inappropriate. Like,
it's a PR disaster.
Like it is. I have female talent that I hired. How does that make them feel? That this man could go around saying that he wants to do that word to another
woman,
another talent, and I have all these other female talent. Like, it comes off to me like I'm being insensitive to them, which I do think Tony Khan did not handle that in an appropriate way.
Right.
You know. But I think that Sammy just feels like he has like this little shield on, not this little shield. I feel like he has this big force field shield on him that he can never do any wrong, and he doesn't have to take any accountability for shit.
Mm.
So I'm happy that Eddie knocked him upside the head. I wish he would have knocked him upside the head some more. And I'm happy that he's back on the card because, to be honest, like I feel like
He didn't
he
deserve
is a
that.
needle mover. He did
He
not
is.
deserve that.
He didn't
He's a
deserve that.
great talent. He comes in here and does his job. He didn't do nothing wrong. You know what I mean? He's
Right.
just amazing at what he does. And I'm happy that they put him back on the show because I mean, you already lost MJF. You cannot lose
Yeah.
another mouthpiece
You
like Eddie. Good luck.
you
Good
yeah,
luck.
you can't. Yeah, you can't. You can't. After losing MJF, which we'll talk about later, you definitely can't lose uh Eddie. But I was gonna say, literally, like I agree with everything that you say. Um it's giving Karen energy when you're talking about a person of color's anger issues, especially when you did something to intentionally anger them. Like that to me is very like that's a very manipulative thing to do. Like I'm gonna say this thing to get this reaction to be like, see, he has this issue. First of all, we all know what Eddie's about. We all know that Eddie gets riled up. That's part of the reason why we like him as an on-screen character and as a person. Because he gets riled up really quickly. So you didn't need to tell us that. So the fact that you went out of your way to say that, it lets me know that you're trying to intentionally slander him or to get at him or to paint him in a certain light so that the public sees him in a certain way, possibly so that the public can, I guess can reimagine how they see you. But it don't work like that, bro. Like, Sammy, if you corny, you're corny. And like there's no anger issue or weight issue that you're gonna point out that's going to make you uncorny. In fact, if you point out
Mm-hmm.
those issues, you're just as corny, if not cornier than whatever you're trying to point out. I do think that Sammy Guevara was in the wrong. Um, if y'all are both professionals and he does something unprofessional, right? You as a professional can go to him and be like, "Hey dog, that wasn't it." But for you to come out about his weight, that's unprofessional as well. And you should know better considering like once again that you had, sensitivity classes pertaining to another incident that you had. So it's like it goes both ways, bro. It goes both ways. It could have been handled differently on both sides, right? And while I'm not an advocate of, swinging on somebody, like you do
I
something
am.
to intentionally you do something to intentionally anger somebody else, it's just like you, you should expect not you should expect yeah no 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 yeah you should expect that you deal with someone who is angry, who may be sensitive about their weight or whatever the case may be, and you just making a comment about body shaming, which you know is wrong in 2022, is wrong. Like you're doing all that and you didn't expect to be swung on. Like, come on, bro. You
Yeah,
know
talk
better
shit,
than
get hit.
right,
The fuck?
right, and especially when it's Eddie Kingston. Like this is Eddie went to the golden boy of the company and CM Punk and was like, "Dog, I don't like you. What do you think he's
And plus,
gonna
he's from
do?"
New York. What do you expect?
Right,
Like,
right, right. Like fully from Yonkers, bro. This man has a damn Yankee fitted tatted on his head. Like essentially, he's so New York. But like, I just think that what he did was just very immature and very insensitive, and it goes to show you why people don't like Sammy in real life because that was just corny. Um, I was gonna say, did you have anything else to say about that, or you got it all off? Because I feel like you may have something else.
not this time, but if I come back to it, I'll come back to it because he really pisses me off. Like I just don't like the idea that every time someone's a heel and they say something sensitive in a promo, their biggest fucking safety blanket is, "Oh, I'm a heel. I'm supposed to make you angry. I got you guys the reaction that I wanted." Like, no, like
No,
there's just
dog.
some things you just don't say in this
Right,
day
and
and age.
right, nah, for real. And I agree. I agree with
You
that.
know,
But
that was just my
yeah,
biggest thing that just pissed me off because I just feel like again he gets blanketed so much that he just doesn't want to take accountability, and
hmm
I feel like Tony Khan needs to put his foot down, and I feel like honestly he should have got suspended again. Like you didn't learn from the first time from these sensitivity classes, okay. And my other thing that I want to comment on actually too is what is the issue with wrestlers throwing hands? So long as there's no like weapons involved, I don't see why they can't just tussle a little bit. I mean, they did in the territory days and they got it out of their
Right.
systems.
Yeah, and
What's
I
the
think
issue with
it's
that?
I think that in this day where everybody's trying to be clean and corporate and ethical, it's like, ah, well, we don't want fighting in our workplace, right? But you have to understand that the wrestling workplace is unique to any other workplace because niggas be fighting for a living. Like these cats fight for a
And there's drugs
living, and
back there and everything.
right, like they fight for a living, and you just have to understand that like if you keep prolonging the static, the tension, it's only going to build up and it's only going to get worse. Just let them duke it out. I agree with you. You should let wrestlers just kind of duke it out, obviously in private. But I'd rather them fight, get it over with, have their little rounds, and then it's over versus having to like, oh, well, you didn't say this, or well, you didn't say that, and then it just continues to build and fester. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Mhm.
that's my thing.
All right then.
But moving on. So Warner and Discovery, speaking of AEW, Warner Discovery, who is the parent company that is in partnership with All Elite Wrestling, has told Tony Khan to tone down the profanity and blood on All Elite Wrestling's programming, Dynamite, Rampage, and so forth and so on. How do you think that this will affect their content moving forward?
I don't think the indie fans are gonna like this one because they love that stuff. They kind of live for that stuff. I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but I think AEW could use a little bit of taming with some of the blood because they be putting their talents in this dumbass situations. Like I like the fact that they give them free will to choose how they want to do their matches, but it gets to a point where you're just getting very gimmicky and you're putting your body on the line for Wyatt for this 2-second moment that doesn't really feel that important in the grand scheme of things because when you do too many gory things like that back to back to back to back to back, it kind of just it loses the specialness of it. It kind of
Yeah,
reminds me like with how the internet went viral when Britt Baker bled because they weren't used to seeing females bleed. And then AEW saw that, oh shit, they like that stuff. Let's put more blood on the show. And that just happens back to back to back to back to back so much that it's just like, okay, they're bleeding again. Oh, okay, they're doing another crazy spot again. You know what I mean? I feel like if they spaced it out more, it'd be a lot more enjoyable to watch because it'd be a shocker. As far as the profanity goes, I'm actually a little bit shocked about that one. I feel like that's where they're definitely going to lose out on because people think that AEW is more edgy because they get away with saying a lot of things.
yeah,
They're like Tony Khan. I don't think he really clears anyone's promos for the most part. He kind of just lets them just go out and say what comes out the dome piece or whatever. So,
right.
um, I I do feel a little bad for them that they had to go to PG because now they're gonna have to focus on being a little more clever and thinking outside the box rather than just taking low blows all the time and saying jaw dropping things just to get a
Yeah,
pop out of the audience. So that's gonna be very interesting considering that WWE switched to TV 14 and now your competitor has to stoop down and do PG. So
right.
I don't know where it's gonna go from here. What do you think?
I think I agree with you on that. I think that this is going to take a very, very big toll. I specifically like on the independent wrestling audience. I think that part of the reason why they gravitated towards AEW was because you had access to the blood, the gore, and the profanity. I feel like the profanity is thrown out a little bit too much. Like people just throw out you know, you know, the B word or the SH word and just being like, ah, yeah, yeah, I'm just gonna do it. And this is what makes it cool. But it's like if you do it over and over again, it's going to dampen the uniqueness and the specialness of it all. Like prime example, when they did the Rollins and Riddle promo that, where like they were staged to be like going off the air and Rollins just, started landing haymakers. I think that that was perfect because it's like you don't hear that on WWE television that often. And so because of it, it's like it makes it so much more special when you actually hear it. So I think that this is going to have an effect on their audience for sure because it's like, okay, now where are you going to go to get all the profanity and the blood? And I think that it's also going to affect some of their special TV programming that they do, like Blood and Guts, right? Like, there's a whole brand of programming meant to highlight a cage match where everybody is bleeding. So it's like, now how do you go about that? So I think it's going to definitely affect them moving forward, but we'll see what happens. I think John Moxley's I knew he was punching air because that man bleeds every match. Every match, that man is gonna blood is coming from somewhere. The head, the elbow, uh, right weenus. Something is gonna be bleeding on John Moxley whenever he's in the AEW ring. So it's gonna see. I think we're gonna see a actual, more wrestling centric product now. It's gonna thrive on strong hits. It's gonna thrive on sound, technical skill, but I don't think that we're going to be seeing a lot of bleeding. So a lot of bleeding or profanity. So we'll see how that
Wonder if
goes.
it's gonna hurt them.
I don't think it is because they were able to get this far, and the profanity and the blood lured talents away from WWE. So now they don't even really have to do everything that they were doing because they already got the talent that they wanted. They already have CM Punk. They already have Daniel Bryan. They already have Cesaro and Jericho. You already, I assume that the MJF thing is to work. They have MJF. They have Darby Allin and all these other guys that came to AEW for creative freedom. And like, now since they have that load of talent, it's like, okay, if this happened like 2 or 3 years ago, okay, now we have an issue, right? Because it's like they didn't have as much of a deep talent pool as they have now, but now they have talent for days, so they can go about that
Yeah.
in any way they see fit. Um, do you think that it's gonna affect like their future? Do you think this is gonna be a negative impact on them?
You gave me a second perspective with that 'cause I wasn't thinking about it. But they have a lot of core stars to work with, so I mean the wrestling is there. That's great and all. What I think it will hurt them is with the talents that suck at cutting promos and then they have
Oh yeah,
to just get a pop by saying something crazy or just saying a swear word. I feel like those people are going to be heavily exposed because it's just like, all right, what do I say now? I don't have a character, and um, sometimes AEW puts people together feud not really based off of a real storyline, so it's just off of the wrestling. So if those people are being paired off of just that solely wrestling, they could possibly hide behind that. But when
yeah,
it's time to like cut a promo, if they're so used to just saying buzzwords just to get a pop out of people, and now they took out that aspect, I feel like a lot of people are going to be exposed for being really bad on the mic. And they're
right.
gonna have to work around that. So,
Mm.
yeah, they some people need to go back to promo classes. I'm not sure they don't have a PC center over there, right? I
Not
don't think
so
anyone's.
funny.
I don't think they have even gone around to that.
They
Hmm?
didn't have a PC center for, I think there was a long time where, like, as far as like training was concerned, like they depended on their coaches, and if Cody saw fit, he would send like some cats to the Nightmare Factory, which is like his personal gym and training facility. But now that they don't have Cody, they don't have that option. But I think that was that. Hey, going back to a couple episodes ago when they made all those promotions in talent development and HR with Sanjay Dutt and Tony Schiavone, it's like now we're going to see how effective they can be because now we have guys that are good on the mic who are the powers that be in AEW. So now these wrestlers have more than enough resource to become better at their craft because it's like now you have people you can go to who have official positions and stuff like that. But like the stuff
Okay,
like
well, good for
I don't
them.
I don't know if you followed the whole Jungle Boy Christian Cage storyline, but Jungle Boy literally has a shirt that says Christian is a pussy. Like
I seen that.
you can't do that now. Like you can't
Yeah,
say that. Like when I yeah, you can't say that. You can't do that. Cause to be honest, Jungle Boy ain't really have any good promos like that. I can't think of a memorable
I
Jungle
can't
Boy
recall
promo.
one.
So you can tell that like some of these people rely on these curse words for a cheap pop. So we'll see what that entails going forward. Now, speaking of AEW, um, Wardlow had some very, very interesting comments in an interview about his match and feud with MJF. He was talking about how there was such a big build to the match, and there were so many things that were happening, with MJF and Wardlow's personal life that kind of ruined. the match. Um, Take that as you will. Wanted to know, do you think that this is like legit, or do you think that this is a work? Like, do you think that Wardlow really doesn't bang with MJF, or do you think that there's some tension, or do you really think that, this is all just a part of a plan for MJF to come back to AEW?
It would be really elaborate and fucked up and twisted if it was, like, this long of term of booking that they decided to, get other people to get on interviews and, talk about some beef, but I do think that I'm starting to believe that this is not a work,
Mm,
mainly because MJF hasn't spoke negatively about WWE. Every time I ever read a report about like if he would possibly jump to other sides, considering that he's wanted everywhere. I mean,
yeah.
he's young, he's good in the ring, he is a phenomenal talent, he's very unique in his craft. Um, I could definitely see based off of just all the factors that are going on. I don't think he gets paid enough for all he contributes to the show. I do feel
Mhm.
like him not being there is very noticeable.
Yeah.
If they do take him back, he has to come back with a fat contract. There's no other way. There's
Yeah, he's
no
getting a
fucking
bag.
way. He has to, and like it's insane that like they're signing other people like to way more money than him because just like again, MJF never had a belt, at least to my knowledge, never had a belt. I haven't stopped watching for weeks or but the only thing he has gotten is a ring.
Yeah.
That was it. And yet he feels like the one of the most important people to that company that was
Mhm.
freshly bred through AEW. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like he has the most memorable moments, the most memorable promos. You know what I mean? Because again, AEW has their characters and they have their wrestlers. He's definitely like a character, and characters stand out in wrestling. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
To a casual fan or someone who's just like from WWE walking over and switching the channels to AEW, you're gonna gravitate towards the MJF just because
Right.
again, he's a character, he's unique, he's very entertaining and stuff like that. I do feel like he hasn't gotten his moment. I could understand his frustration.
Mm.
I do see Warlow's point of view on being frustrated because he showed up, he's doing his job, and someone else did not because they're frustrated, and
Yeah.
he felt like it hindered him. I don't personally think that it hindered him. I think that everyone respects Wardlow. um if anything, over time I actually gained more respect for the feud between him and MJF just because
Mhm.
I got to actually see Wardlow be more than just a lackey and see
Yeah.
him actually carry himself as an independent talent. But I honestly, yeah, I I hope I actually kind of hope he doesn't come back to AEW. I kind of hope he gets signed to WWE. I feel like he kind of fits better there. And I guess I might have fell for it, but I think that there's actually some tension there. That's just me.
I agree um with that. I do believe that this has gotten to a point where it is not a work. I think this is real life. I feel like everyone at some point has gotten increasingly frustrated when they add value to their place of work and they feel like that value is not reciprocated via proper compensation or proper recognition. The fact that Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara have held the TNT championship and MJF has not is criminal. The fact that CM Punk and CM Punk and Chris Jericho and John Moxley has now hold that belt twice and MJF has not is criminal. Right? Like, and
It
then
is.
there's like the ring that we were talking about, what you were talking about was the Dynamite Diamond ring, but that's not something that gets regularly defended. It's something that's brought up once a year, and then when he's in the feud, it's like, oh, he's a Dynamite Diamond winner. But it's just what's the payoff of the Dynamite Diamond? Right? Like, is it just something? Like, and I think that was the biggest takeaway for me. It was just something. I feel like it doesn't really hold any weight or value. It was just kind of used as like a bone to throw talent that may not be satisfied. But I personally think that when it comes to MJF and when it comes to MJF, he definitely needs to make the jump to WWE. You kind of touched upon it. I'm gonna touch a little bit on it in the
Go
sense that
ahead.
I think that Tony Khan needs to get humbled a little bit. Because I feel like, with the exception of like these past couple weeks to a month ever since Hunter's taken over, he's talking loose and acting like he's untouchable. And I feel like if MJF goes over there and does his thing and he gets pushed to the moon and there's a rocket attached to him, then I feel like Tony's gonna wake up and be like, "Oh, why?" Because if you're investing more into your older talent than you are your newer talent, like what's the difference between you and Dixie Carter? Um, but I do believe that this is not a work at all. I think that MJF is legitimately dissatisfied, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If they prove me wrong and they prove it to be a work, then it's a work. But
It's a damn good
um,
one.
it's the damn good one and pretty realistic. And then we would have to give Tony Khan credit for being, ahead of the ball creatively. But I think this is real. This is very, 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 very real. But going from something that is real and is serious and interesting to something that may not be, WWE have crowned their new women's tag team champions.
Oh my
Raquel
god.
Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah. They won. They beat Io and Kai in the finals last night. Well, not last night. A couple nights on Raw. Wanted to know what your thoughts were about this decision, as far as
I was
them winning.
pissed. I was
Winning
so pissed.
talk your shit.
I was so pissed.
Talk it.
The fact you reminded me just pissed me off all over again, bro. It's just like okay, I already feel like the tag team titles are repeatedly disrespected. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
when they are not on Sasha or they're not on Bailey, so far they just been. I mean, the Iconics did a different job, a pretty decent job, I guess, with the belts. But for the most part, I just feel like those belts don't mean anything to me at this point. And I was
Mm-hmm.
hoping that the whole point of putting together this faction with Bailey, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky was going to put some respect on the belts,
Mm-hmm.
and they chose to give it to some bitch that puked herself a few months ago in the middle of the ring. A bitch that I don't even fucking think should be worthy of lacing up a pair of boots because you've been in the fucking PC for this long and this is the best you could fucking do. You can't even cut a fucking promo.
Yeah.
Like, and she got the belt. Yo, she got the belt before Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott. Let that sink in. Let that sink in.
That's disgusting.
She has one more tag team title reign than fucking Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott. I'm just like I know people are indifferent about Raquel or whatever. I'm gonna skim over her because I mean I feel like she's a decent wrestler despite the controversy that goes on. I do think she's very good at what she does, but I'm just very much pissed because for you to give her a belt and she hardly has been doing anything on the roster that was noteworthy enough to be in this position, it just pisses me off. But then you can look at the other argument. The other argument is that, oh, there's a lot of injuries going on, that this is just something for now and that they may be transitional champions. But my thing is just that Dakota Kai and Io Sky were right there. And
Mm-hmm.
also, if you want to introduce Sasha and Naomi, the fact that Sasha already defended the belt against Io in the past, all right, that alone, if you want to bring those two back and you want to skid over the fact that they were suspended for personal reasons that went on in the company, you could just build a feud off of that right there.
Very true.
Like, again, the story writes itself. And
Mm-hmm.
it would have gave you a lot better matches. So I don't know what Hunter's doing. Like, I want to fight him right now, but he usually has a method to his madness. So I'm wondering if they're going to be a transitional champion and that they're going to get squashed and then they're eventually going to surprise us with Sasha and Naomi coming back, because I don't understand what was the purpose of this move. Like, do you not care for the belts? Do you not care for the integrity of the belts? Because that's what you showed me as a fan. You know what I mean? I remember that moment when Sasha and Bailey won the belts in the Elimination Chamber and just how excited I was as a female wrestling fan to just watch this moment happen, to see that these two set a precedent in the company and how much that those belts meant to them.
Right.
How emotional Sasha and Bailey were
Bailey got.
to have those belts in their hands after a long, hard fought, because it wasn't just about that match alone. It was just about how long it took for us to allow the women to have equality to the men, to where we have tag team belts. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I just felt like as soon as they lost them at Mania, it just went downhill from there to where they just don't give a fuck about the women. And that's just where my
Mm-hmm.
frustration comes from. Do you care for the woman? Do you
Mm.
actually care for the woman? If so, why are certain people getting opportunities before the people who actually deserve them?
Mm.
Because Aaliyah and Raquel aren't an actual tag team. They're a makeshift tag team. They were thrown together last minute for the sake of this
Mm-hmm.
tournament because someone in the backstage was petty, and rather than just putting the titles off to the side, not saying shit about Naomi and Sasha, they decided they wanted to talk about a tournament, drop the tournament, bring the tournament back, and then botch it, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I could go about this all day, so you could cut me off right here. What do you got to say about it?
This is the first time I'm gonna say this during the show, but I respectfully disagree. I feel like here's my thing, and I think it
Yeah,
deserves a proper
because
preface. This deserves a proper preface and then an explanation. I don't think that
yes,
Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah are a legitimate tag team. I don't think that they. I don't. I personally don't like. I'm not the biggest fans of neither. Not to say that they aren't valuable. I think that they are. I think Raquel has enormous
they aren't.
potential. Sheesh. But when I thought about it, after I heard that Raquel had won it, at first I was like, "What? Why did they win? It should have been Io and Kai." But then I thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
This, from a big picture standpoint, gives WWE the most creative flexibility. Let me explain. Raquel, larger woman, Aaliyah, smaller girl, right? They can be used as the interim, or I guess the transitional champions. When I see this like fallout, I see a couple things that can happen. One, Io and Kai can have more character built because they kind of came in arrogant, somewhat dominant, but arrogant. Now they're angry. They have rage. That loss built more character for them that can add to their personal rage, that can add to their personal brand. So now they can easily go after those titles still. That was a fluke. You know what? We're not going to stop until we get. And then they go through tag teams. They beat everybody up and this, that, and the third. That can be one option. And then they can win the tag team titles at the end of that. That's one option. Another option is Io and Kai go up against them in a rematch. They win the titles. Raquel turns on Aaliyah. Now that puts Raquel and Aaliyah in a singles feud. And that takes care of itself. And they don't have to be worried about a tag team ever again because one just turned on the other. Then Naomi and Sasha, right? We don't know. At the end of the day, we heard about them having a new agreement, but we don't know when they're going to come back. But this puts them in a position where they can interject into Raquel and Aaliyah and get the belts. They can interject into Io and Kai versus Raquel and Aaliyah and get the belts. Essentially, I feel like the reason why this was a good decision because it allowed for creative flexibility in the sense that, like, because they're the tag team champions now and they're not necessarily the best tag team, nobody's going to complain when the belts get taken off of them. And by whom? Because Sasha and Naomi could take it from them or Io and Kai could take it from them. And in my opinion, heels are the ones that add prestige to the belt. Faces are good for the feel good moments of winning the belt. But outside of that, nothing. So if there was a feel good moment to be had, if any, at the start of it, you might as well get it out the way early, deal with that. And then when it's time for the belts to be taken off of them, I think that they're going to be taken off of them. But I feel like them winning the belts allows them to have a lot more creative flexibility than if Io and Kai would have win right then and there. Because like Io and Kai, they will win, and then it's just like, okay, and then Raquel and then Aaliyah are essentially going to be on main event within 2 weeks. But if you put them in a position where one could turn on the other, that could solve itself and it could elevate the both of them potentially. So that's the only reason why I agree. I disagree with you is because I feel like this allows them for enough creative flexibility so that they can do a multitude of things from whatever position that they're in right now.
That just sounds like a lot of television that I don't want to watch. You need to tell me I got to sit there and watch Aaliyah promos and then go through all this hell just to get the belts off of them so Sasha and Naomi could come back, when we could have just had set this up to where they have the belts and they build a, you know, an even more cockier, arrogant, you know, personality if Bailey and them had the belts, and, you know, eventually we get a shocking return.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I felt like I was witnessing a change going on that I feel like Dakota Kai and Io Sky aren't random. There was a reason why they were, you know, handpicked to work with Bailey. It's because they were established. Dakota Kai's run may not have been like the best, but she was certainly established. Everyone already knew who the fuck she was. And everyone especially knows who Io Sky is, so I don't feel like I need extra layers to be added to them. I mean, maybe to the casual viewers that aren't familiar with them, you know, if that's what your perspective was. But to me, again, I feel like it was a disrespect to the belt. That's my biggest problem with this, A. But B, the layers don't need to be added, because that could have been that could have still been done regardless. I mean, Bailey is, I guess, the mouthpiece of the group, but I still feel like Dakota and Io shine on their own in their own special way, and we could have just got bangers of matches. Very true. Watching Dakota and Io to get them completely over. I just feel like this is a huge waste of time. Again, I'm pissed off. I know Liv Morgan is fucking swinging at the air still to this day that she watched someone as basic as Aaliyah get the fucking belts before her and Ruby did. You know, again, I don't believe in makeshift tag teams having a belt before any established tag teams do. So I'll never get over that. I'm still pissed at it. Hunter, fix it. Okay, pick up your phone right now and fix it. I hope he has some elaborate scheme. Like, there has to be something to think this up, because I don't believe for a second he's this stupid. Like, yeah, I don't think he would make such a. Huh?
And Hunter, I trust. Like, listen, I trust Hunter. So I'm like, when I saw that, that's the first thing I thought. I was just like, okay, let's see where this goes. But I agree with you, but I also disagree with you.
I don't even want to say respectfully disagree, because I can't stand Aaliyah that much.
Right.
Like, why does she still have a job? I don't understand why she still has a job. Raquel, at least I can respect that she's a very good talent, and I actually feel bad that she's paired with Aaliyah, because it cheapens her. It definitely does cheapen her. But God, I just hope that there's a route that they're going with this. I hope that this doesn't last longer than a week or two. I don't think we're gonna see our girls. Today's Wednesday as we're recording. I don't think we're going to see our girls this Saturday.
Yeah,
Saturday, right?
I agree.
Yeah, Saturday. I don't think I'm gonna see them come in. So it's gonna be a long wait until we get that off of them. So it's gonna be stressful. I don't know. I thought Raw was getting a little bit better. I was anticipating this. I was hoping it was gonna get better, but now I gotta sit through a lot more bullshit. First, they gave Aaliyah a fake ass Austin 316 gimmick, and now they gave her the belt. So I'm just all types of irritated. Yeah, whatever. Really 316, 317. I am stressed. Cause I was just like, why are you wasting your time when you have other talented people backstage? Like, I'd rather Natty had the belt again. And Natty bores the hell out of me, but I would rather deal with another Natty run.
Natty is unseasoned as they come. But speaking of Naomi and Sasha, it has been reported that they have a new agreement with WWE. They're officially back on the internal and external rosters, and they are back in WWE. So we said that they're probably not going to be at the UK show. So if they're not going to be at the UK show, when do you expect them to make their return?
I feel like they're going to drag this out. What other pay-per-views do we have going on for the rest of the year? I feel like they shifted a lot of things, so I don't even know anymore.
I'm going to check, but keep going.
No, I predict that they aren't going to give it back to us soon, especially with the way Hunter likes to plan things. He has given us so many surprises. I think it'd be too soon if he had the girls come back now, you know. And from the looks of it looks like Sasha is doing so many little extra projects. I just don't see it at this point in time that they're gonna make the girls come back right now. I'm going
Right.
to assume when it's time to shake up the roster.
I can see them coming back
That's
during
around the
a
time frame I'm expecting. And that's like October, November when they normally
yeah
shake it up. What's their November pay-per-views? November, December
Survivor
pay-per-view.
Series.
Ooh, perfect timing.
That's a good time. Oh
There you
man.
go,
But yeah,
bingo.
keep going.
No,
That was
that would
it?
be perfect.
Yeah,
That would be
I agree.
perfect. Good. Go ahead.
I actually agree. You want to elevate two talents that felt neglected, and rightfully so. You want to make them feel special. You want them to make them come back with a bang. Bring them back to a big four. SummerSlam is already out the window. Mania is already out the window. Royal Rumble already out the window as far as this year's pay-per-views, right? And then waiting until Rumble next year, I just think would be too long. Bring them back to Survivor Series. If the whole idea is to, have these cats going for the belts, and it's between Raquel and Aaliyah and Io and Kai, and they're going back and forth. Now you're caught in the middle of their rivalry and you're engaged, and then Sasha and Naomi come back and they just mess up everybody. Oh,
Ooh,
I like that. I like that. That's a scenario where they can have the biggest impact. That's a
that's
scenario where they
spicy.
could.
Yeah.
It is, because it's just like it puts them. You have clear good guys. You have clear bad guys, and then you have Naomi and Sasha just being like, "Listen, we don't like none of y'all. We don't like none of y'all. We are them girls, and we're gonna take what's ours." And now that puts them in the middle of a nice little mix. So I think that Survivor Series would be a very, very ideal place for them to return. As
So
you were
you
saying,
think
what were
they
you gonna say?
have to come back as heels?
I think they got to come back as tweeners. I feel like they shouldn't come back as heels or faces. And I feel like they can do damage with that, because I feel like that's such a practical approach to it, because you have so many people who were cheering for them, wanting for them to come back. But then you also have management and people on air saying that Sasha Banks and Naomi disappointed us. I want to see a Sasha Michael Cole segment. Like, yeah. You was talking all that, right? You was talking all of that when we was away. Where's the energy? I need to see that segment. And I feel like that can only happen if they're a tweener, because it's the only way they can be like, listen, I appreciate everybody who show love and wanted us to come back, but we got a couple people we got to check in person, because they was talking real crazy when Sis was off the scene. So I feel like that's the only way that they can. I don't want to say the only way, but I feel like being a
There's so many
tweener,
ways you could go about this.
there's so many ways you can go about it, but I feel like that's the most effective way, because it's like I'm not a good like what Roman used to be saying. I'm not a good guy. I'm not a bad guy. I'm the guy. I feel like that could be Sasha and Naomi. Like, we not good or bad. We just here to take what's ours. Period. So I think that that's the
This is
best
such
way.
a random thing, but like I always wanted at least Sasha to go head to head with Stephanie McMahon. And since she's like the new, CEO or
Yeah.
whatever, I think it'd be pretty cool if they wanted to be heels and they want to come back and talk shit and like take the suspension storyline to as far as they wanted to, and they could
Absolutely.
beef with Stephanie. I haven't seen Stephanie in the ring beefing with a diva or a women's wrestler in so long. And the last time we watched that was with the Bella Twins. And I
Yeah.
always wanted to see that with Sasha because she's the boss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of,
Boss versus
writes
boss type
itself.
of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And she could really just like spin on the boss character doing what the fuck she wants to do and running this fucking business and having y'all run circles around me, her and Naomi. I think
That's a
that'd be
fact.
so not to directly feud with Stephanie, because I don't need to see Stephanie in the ring. But it'd be pretty cool if Stephanie set up some people on her end, her own posse, to, feud with them, to punish them, to try to take them down. But
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, Sasha and Naomi like got the whole entire roster whipped. You know what I mean? And I mean, if they want to run into Bailey's faction, that could still work too. That could still happen along the lines. Maybe if fucking Stephanie wants to align herself with Bailey, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky, that could happen too. I feel like there's so many ways they could go about this return. It doesn't have to be so predictable. I had seen people who were even saying, "Oh, have Naomi and Sasha come back and let the third person be Tamina. Let's bring back Team Bad. You know, let's make another reference."
Ooh, that would be tough. That would be tough, especially since one of the biggest things that I've been hearing over the past couple of years, why aren't Naomi and Tamina why aren't they a part of the bloodline? I feel like this is a great way to have like a bloodline-esque faction for the women. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they could have like a little loose affiliation with them. But I think that'd be tough. I think I like that.
There's so many ways you could go about this. Like, you'd be so creative with it. Like, it doesn't have to be like so just like cut and dry and just boom, return. You know, like I think that especially because again we're not dealing with the same people backstage, that it's definitely going to be a different return than what we're used to, because we're so used to just seeing Sasha just pop out. We're used to hearing her music hit, she interrupts somebody, and then boom, a feud. Like, I feel like her and Naomi need to be brought back in a clever way, you know, because I'm pretty sure it was a long hard fought discussion between her, or I should say them, and Hunter to get them back. I cannot imagine that they're going to settle for anything less than like an internet breaking return.
Absolutely. And they deserve it, to be completely honest. Going off of that,
y'all
should comment on how y'all want to see them to return. Comment, tell us what you feel. But we're moving on to predictions. So the first show, because we did talk about at the head of the show, that is going to be a loaded weekend in wrestling. We got Clash at the Castle, which is going to be taking place in the United Kingdom. Then we're going to be going into Worlds Collide on Sunday and All Out on Sunday. So Clash at the Castle is on Saturday, and we got Worlds Collide and All Out on Sunday. Worlds Collide is going to be coming on during the morning/afternoon. All Out is going to be coming on at night. So this is not a matter of a show versus a show. Nothing's going head to head. We can all enjoy this weekend, this thick serving of wrestling, and I'm very, very excited for it. But I think we should start with the first show of the weekend, which is Clash at the Castle. We got, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches. So let's start at the bottom of the card and work our way to the top. So the first match we got going for the weekend: Edge and Rey Mysterio versus the Judgment Day. Who you got?
Of course, I have to support my husband at all costs. At all costs.
So you're going Edge and Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, duh. I mean,
and the Mysterios, Edge and the Mysterios, I should say. Yeah, Edge. Yeah, Edge and Mysterio.
It's Rey and
Edge,
his, I don't know, his problem child. I don't know, but like, I feel like, all right, in my heart, I want Edge to always win because I just love him that much. But I do feel like they like putting over talent, and they are for growing, everyone else's resume and putting everyone over themselves. But I feel like this is Edge's last year, so why not give him the win? Why not have him end this feud, get it out the way, and then place him in something else that we could all sink our teeth into? Because I don't hate this feud. I just think it's kind of clear that they kind of don't know what to do with it at this point. I feel like Edge kind of broke apart the not Edge directly, but his members overthrew the group too soon, and then no one just knew what to do at the end of this. And then they thought, okay, we don't know what to do, so Rhea's there and Beth still exists, let's get her out the cabin and have her have a role in this shit. What?
Nah, I'm just like, you really hate Beth Phoenix, and it's just mad funny. But
I don't want to say hate, because that's a strong word. It's just that she has something I want, and one day we're gonna scrap.
I'm just gonna give
I'm
my
not getting my
prediction.
ass beat every single time.
But
I'm willing to fight for my man.
You're willing to fight for Edge. You're willing to fight for good old Adam Copeland. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. So I want Edge and Mysterio to win, but I
Yes.
think the Judgment Day is gonna win, and I think it is gonna be directly tied to a pivotal event: the heel turn of Dominic Mysterio. I think we're gonna see a heel turn because it's gonna be a 2-on-2. It's gonna be Edge and Mysterio versus Damian and Edge. I think that you have 3 people on each side. You have Rhea in one corner, you have Dominic in another corner, so they're evenly matched. The key factor is going to be Dominic, and I think that Dominic is finally going to stray away from his father, and I think that that's going to set up Edge versus Dominic. I mean, not Edge. It's going to set up Ray versus Dominic. It may not put Ray in the judgment. It may not put Dominic in the Judgment Day, but I think it's going to be Ray versus Dominic, and then we're going to see the Edge versus Judgment Day feud prolong, and it's going to be kind of like the way that kind of goes about. So I think that that's how it's going to go down. You gonna say something?
God. No,
I was gonna
just Dominic does nothing for me, so I hope and pray that this is going to actually give him like a layering. Like maybe I can't connect to him because he just feels like, you know, like it just feels like they didn't have a daycare for Ray, so that he has to just drag along his overgrown son with him.
Wow. Wow.
But he's not bad. Like he's not bad in the ring. He's actually very good. It's just that there's nothing that he has there that I could connect with. He's just there. You know what I mean? And I feel like it almost makes every Ray fan annoyed because they just want to see Ray do Ray and they just see him dragged along. But I feel like he is promising. He is. It's just that he needs to get away from his father, and I felt like he shouldn't never been presented with his father for this long. I'm not saying he should have to have turned on his father, but I just feel like he should have had an identity a long time ago.
But I
like
think
he's been here for would it been like 2 years now?
Yeah,
maybe 3 years.
A little bit. I think a little bit under 3 years.
And there's been no development in terms of him, just Ray. So I don't even think it's going to be like a shocker or a heartfelt moment, even if there was a heel turn, because they never gave this man a personality to begin with. Outside of I'm fighting for my daddy. Like, okay, big one.
I ain't gonna
you know
hold
what
you.
I mean?
I ain't gonna hold you saying I'm about to fight for my daddy is a crazy Ayo moment, but I ain't gonna say too much. It's a Ayo. But moving on from that, we got the WWE Intercontinental Championship on the line as Gunther goes against Sheamus. First of all, gonna be a banger. But this is gonna be a banger. I think that this should be the opener of the show. It should either open or main event, but considering the main event, I know it's not gonna main event, so I think it should open the show. I got Gunther. I got Gunther in this. I feel like this is going to elevate him even more, considering obviously the newfound prestige of the Intercontinental Championship, considering where this title is being defended, and I think it's just going to be a great match. So who you got?
I actually got Gunther too. I don't see the longevity if they were to have gave Sheamus the belt in the situation. I think Gunther's been doing a good job. Obviously, Triple H loves him. Like he has all his stocks in him. Yeah, no, beautiful feud the way they set it up. That was a very good cliffhanger that they left us on. But no, all my money is in Gunther. But if Sheamus won, I wouldn't be mad necessarily. Like they're both like one of my favorites from the roster. So, Team Gunther.
I got that for it. I agree with you on that. So going from that into the spicy matchup of the night, Matt Riddle versus Seth freaking Rollins. Who you got?
I was already gonna go for Seth just because fuck Riddle, but that promo. If I wasn't already a Seth fan, now I'm a stan. Like I'm a full on Seth stan for the way he annihilated Matt Riddle in that promo. Like, can we talk about it?
Bro, Seth was really out here and he was just like, oh, that's the route you want to go. Who's your queen? Who you married to? Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Hold these. He really went there. I was like, oh nah, this man is wild. And the little smile he did after he let out all that was mad funny because he knew what he was like. I was like, why do you have
Like,
to air it out like that, bro? Like, come on.
oh my god, you could tell he had like some sick twisted just like high off of that, but it was great. Like I love the layerings to his character. At first I thought his
Yeah,
character was annoying, it was obnoxious, that it was a copy of Bailey's delusional character, but no, it actually like became its own. He's kind of like the Joker, if you will.
yeah,
But
he is.
it's fun, it's entertaining. I at first didn't really care for this feud. I knew that the match, when the time comes, is gonna slap, because one thing
This is
about Matt Riddle is
yeah.
that he's a great talent. Like if you put aside how shitty he is as a person, phenomenal talent. Like this is going to be a banger regardless if you like this man or not. But that actually made me super excited for this feud. I was so shocked that they allowed them to go there,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
just yeah, just I missed the show, but I saw the clip and my mouth just fell to the ground. I was like, there's no way they cleared him to come at him and his wife, his ex-wife.
Like
Knowing
that.
how nasty and dirty this man is and how all his shit was aired out on the internet, like we all know the tea. We all know the tea.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, there was some more tea that came out last night. I didn't get to see all of it, but I saw like
The text
Matt
messages and
Riddle
stuff.
being
Yeah.
dragged to fill over some text message. I'm like, oh, he's having a bad week.
Literally, he's having a bad
Yo,
week. But it's only gonna fuel this match even more. So I agree with you on that. But moving
I
on
don't think
to
he's gonna
the
win
six.
though.
Yeah, I think oh shit, I forgot to get my prediction. I think
You
Matt
did.
Riddle's gonna win. I think Matt Riddle's
Yeah.
gonna win. I think that Seth is gonna put him over. Yeah, because I mean, if it's about new talent, then they have to elevate the new talent. And in this particular match, Riddle is the new talent. Simple as that. Plus after that promo that Seth put out, he can't win. He can't win because that's just a burial after that. But moving on from that into the
That's
6-woman
okay.
tag team match, Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka versus Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. Who you got in this?
I just want Bailey and her team to win. I'm never for any team that has Alexa on it. I feel
Yeah.
so bad for my girl Bianca being paired with them, because that whole team, and I love Asuka. I really do. Her and Bianca, but their chemistry was so dry. Watching them try to cut a promo, it was just like oil and water and other put together. I didn't. I
Right.
can't get with it. I can't. They tried. It feels like they rushed the three of them together. It doesn't feel like Alexa was even meant to be paired with them. I feel like they just randomly just put her in there just so they could set up some type of feud to, just get Bailey and her team some wins and further build some form of a storyline. But I can't get into this feud going on. It just needs to happen, get it over with. Let team, I'm gonna call them damage control because that's what the internet's calling them. Let teams damage control just get the win already. Next.
I agree with you on that. I want Damage Control to win. I think that if they lost the tag titles, which they did, I feel like they need to get their lick back and they need to make a statement. And I feel like what better way to get a statement than over the current Raw Women's Champion and Bianca Belair and 2 former Raw Women's Champions. I think that would put them back in the conversation for a tag team title shot. And I think that's it's very much needed and necessary. So I'm gonna go.
But Bianca can't get pinned.
Yeah, Bianca can't get pinned.
Like,
I think, that's the reason why I was gonna say. I think that's the reason why Alexa's in the match. I think Alexa's gonna be the one that eats the pin because Asuka's Asuka.
Good.
She's strong. You gotta keep her strong. Bianca's the champ. You gotta keep her strong.
Yeah.
You pin Alexa, you still get the win. You still get the win over a former Raw Women's Champion, but it's Alexa. So it's I feel like that's kind of the way to go about it. So there's
and
that.
also Bailey better not be running away again in slow motion, because what was that?
No, absolutely hell not.
Absolutely no
Absolutely.
running. You're the leader of a faction. I do not need to see Bailey running away.
But I think that's another layer to her character as far as her being maybe not as a brave leader.
She's a chicken shit cowardly heel.
So moving on to the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship match between Liv Morgan and Shayna Baszler. Who you got?
I love Shayna. I'm obsessed with Shayna. She needs to, and especially after I watched NXT and I saw the way Shayna pulled up on Mandy. I'm like, no, now I need Shayna, old Shayna, to beat the shit out of Liv, take that belt, and I need her to go back down to NXT and go fight Mandy. Yeah. No, because like that got me so excited. Like, the way she pulled up on her and she let her know, like, like I made that belt actually mean something, bro. Like, I was like, yes, like this is the Shayna that I miss. And also, I love the way they've been building up the feud with Shayna and Liv, because they've been bringing back the old her where she used to step on people's limbs and stuff like that and break their arms and stuff like that, or their hands. Like, I love that. Would I be shocked if Liv won? Not really, because I feel like they kind of want to keep this going. Sort of, maybe, kind of. I don't know. I feel like Hunter personally wants to build Shayna up, so I feel like if you want to build Shayna up, have her beat Liv, because there was a little bit of foreshadowment when Mandy and Shayna approached each other. It seemed like there was a little bit of tension there, where it's just like, I'm gonna fuck up Liv, and then I'm coming for your ass next. That's the vibe I got. So I'm like, all right, maybe they plotted. So I'm gonna go with Shayna. I want my girl Shayna to win. Like, that belt looks good on her. It will look great on her. She deserves to hold a belt.
Long overdue. And to be honest, I miss NXT Shayna when she was leading that Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir. I miss that faction. I miss disrespectful Shayna. Like, I miss Black Air Force's Shayna, and that's what we're getting right now. And it's like, I definitely want Shayna to win, because I would hate for like this resurgence of Shayna to go to waste. I feel like Liv had a feel good moment, and I think that her title reign was good for the feel good moment. But past that, I'm not really interested. So I have Shayna. I have Shayna in this. Yeah, that's literally my answer. Shayna Baszler, I think,
it just sucks for Liv, because like I feel like they should have let her hold on to the briefcase. They could have definitely saved this, but it was cool for 5 minutes, and then it's like the equivalent of like a dream match. Like, what do you do after it? Like, what do you do after you had that feel good moment? What do you do with that? There's nothing, because again, the division is not built up enough for us to care. But Shayna could get all these bitches in shape, and she's gonna bring prestige to that belt. She will. She can, and she will. You know what? Go ahead.
I love how Whitney sent the All Out card in the group chat. Shout out to Whitney.
Queen Whitney, I love her.
But yeah, I agree with you. Like, where do you go from there? I think the Liv thing was cool for the moment, but post that, it wasn't really doing anything for me. But moving on to the next match, the main event, supposedly head of the table, the tribal chief Roman Reigns versus the hometown boy Drew McIntyre. Preface: I really hope that they follow through and they bring back the Drew McIntyre Broken Dreams theme song for this event. That pop is going to be insane. But outside of that, who you got for this between Drew and Roman?
Honestly, considering that he's going part-time, I don't, and I also feel like this whole thing with Roman has ran its course completely. I do feel like there needs to be a change here, and you brought up a great point before we started recording about the location. We're in Europe this time. Drew's from there, but he's Scottish, right?
Yeah, he's from Scotland.
Yeah, he's Scottish. And not just that, but another great point you had brought up was how they beautifully built up Drew for this amazing feud that he had with Brock Lesnar. And it's not that many people have slayed Brock. You have to understand how important it is to beat Brock at a WrestleMania. Only very few names have defeated him. However, no one talks about it. No one references it. No one cares about it. No one thinks about it, because there was no crowd. Like, the best part about a WrestleMania, especially as the talent that is there and getting put over, is just when you get that pinfall or that win by whatever means you did, and you look back and you get that reaction from that crowd that's just, radiating and taking up the whole entire arena. Like, it just makes you feel like it's like a champion, like you won the fucking Olympics or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's just like, unfortunately with Drew, it was just to silence because it was a pandemic. And then afterward his reign kind of fell a little bit flat. He was put in like really awkward feuds that no one really cared about or no one thinks about, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like um even though I'm not really invested in Drew that much at this moment, I'm willing to try and get invested in him and have him be put over, and let's
Mm-hmm.
just start all over again with him having a title reign, because it was definitely not fair to him the first time around. What do you got?
Absolutely. I definitely have Drew McIntyre winning this, and I think that it is a well-deserved win if he wins this championship. I feel like, well, for starters, Drew and Roman already had a a one-on-one match before where Roman already won. So I feel like if this were to happen again, if Roman were to win again, there's really no point in him winning. So I think that that's, number one. Number two, like I said earlier, the location. Um, yeah, the location, like them being in the UK, them being this being a WrestleMania esque moment. Like, let's not get it confused. WWE has not done an event in Europe in I want to say 20 years. I think the last time was like Insurrection, but they haven't done like a pay-per-view. And the UK have been begging for a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania, and they haven't got, but this is like their WrestleMania. You understand? So I think that for the sake of this being a WrestleMania-esque event, they're gonna have the hometown guy win. Those are the first two reasons, but the third reason, not only have they beautifully built up Drew, but they've also beautifully built up Sami Zayn and the bloodline to be kind of like the guy who wants to be down, but who also is going to make some big fumbles. And you saw a
Shout
little
out to
bit of
Sammy,
that.
by the way.
Shout out to Sammy. I love Sammy. But you saw it on Raw, right? Where like the Uso, or I think Jay was facing KO. He had opportunity to win and he had the chair and he didn't hit KO with the chair. And it was like, dog, you're supposed to do that. So now he has the reputation of fumbling the bag. So it's like, say if the Usos get taken out and now it's up to Sammy. Sammy can very much fumble the bag, cost Roman the title. That can lead into Sammy being kicked out of the bloodline. That could lead into
Well, Jay's
KO
gonna beat his
saving.
ass.
Exactly. That can lead into obviously Sammy like getting out of the bloodline. Obviously
Like, I knew you
KO
couldn't trust
coming.
him. Yeah.
Exactly. Having KO and Sammy together, and then they could possibly take the tag titles. But there's so many ways that you can go about this. But I got Drew. I got Drew in this. Um, but those are our Clash at the Castle predictions. So if y'all agree or disagree, comment below. Tell us how you feel. But we're gonna be moving into the Sunday events with Worlds Collide. So starting with the
Don't give me my
NXT.
phone now.
Well, I think I want to start with the NXT Women's Tag Team Title match, which is going to be Katana Chance and Kaden Carter as the champions, and they will be facing Dewdrop and Nikki Ash. Who you got?
I'll be honest, I don't particularly care for anyone in this group right here besides Dewdrop. I mean, Kate Kaden and Katana are very good. They just don't do anything to elevate the belts to me. They're
Mm-hmm.
kind of just there. But I feel like they just sent Nikki Ash and Dewdrop down there because everyone else is pretty much injured and they want to maybe just help elevate the talent. So I
Yeah.
feel like that's all that this is, and that is going to be given to Kaden and Katana.
I agree with that. I think that's going to be Kaden and Katana. I do have to give them credit though. Even though I'm not a regular watcher of or viewer of NXT, every time that I've tuned in, they've kind of added something different to their character to make themselves more appealing. They had like the little pyro shooters out yesterday during their entrance. Sometimes they come from the crowd. They added some dance music, and like they were always known in NXT as being two very, very, very athletically gifted women. But this is a character centric business. So it's like you have to add layers to your character. You can't just be an athlete. And, I think them being kind of taking on this like party duo kind of character, it's like put everything into perspective for them, gives them like a proper context, and it gives them layers. You know what I mean? And so I definitely have Kaden and Katana coming out of this match as the champions. Um But speaking of tag team champions, we're going to go into the next match, which is the Fatal 4-Way Elimination Tag Team Championship Unification match. That was a lot of words. We got the
Right?
NXT, we got right. You got the NXT Tag Team Champions, the Creed Brothers, versus the NXT UK Tag Team Champions, Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen versus Gallus versus Pretty Deadly. Gallus and Pretty Deadly, for those of you who are not aware, are tag teams that are based in NXT UK. So, out of those 4 tag teams, who do you think is going to take it?
There's a lot of names that I really don't know.
Pick a team.
I don't. I have a question. Which one are the Creed brothers? Are they the ones that
Diamond Mind. I don't know if that name rings a bell.
No, that does ring a mind. Mainly because
Roddy.
Stokely, whatever his name was, Stokely. Well, now they're boring to me. And plus they're falling apart. The tag team champions, I don't really have a feeling towards them. I want to go with someone from the UK. I want someone from the UK to win. I want to go with Pretty Deadly.
You go, and you know what? I actually really, really like Pretty Deadly. They are very solid as a tag team. They, I believe, were former NXT UK tag team champions. I believe they even won the NXT regular tag team championships at one point. They were really, really good. Had a very, very clear identity to them. I like them a lot.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go with Gallus. I like Gallus. They are.
Can you describe them to me?
They are Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, and Wolf Gang. I don't know if you know who those 3 guys are, but they were NXT UK tag team champs at a point. I think they were the first ones. But I think that they're 3 big guys. I feel like they were working a faction with Sheamus really, really well because they're just big, punch you in the mouth, super athletic.
Is Sheamus led that faction?
No. I feel like they could be in a faction with him, like because of they all kind of share like a similar energy. But like I like them. I like Gallus, and I'm gonna go with them as far as winning this match. Now the next match is what I feel like is going to be the match tonight for the NXT North American Championship. We got my guy Carmelo Hayes versus Ricochet. 2 who I believe are 2 of the most memorable NXT North American champions ever. So who do you have? Who do you have in this match?
You know what's funny? This is like my favorite belt out of the whole entire brand. Like all the matches that I love the most always came for this belt. And I love Carmelo Hayes. There's no like surprise there. Like he to me, I feel like is a star. He's going to be part of so many future dream matches and mania moments. He's just he knows how to carry himself. He's so unique. He's so interesting. I love his little back and forth thing that he has going with Trick Williams and stuff like that. He's just great, and just like he gets better and better and better every single match. Like he's just that guy.
That's a fact.
They have been building up Ricochet. I wouldn't be mad if Ricochet won. You know, it would still be a feel good moment because of the fact that he's like who you also think of when you think about this belt. So I wouldn't be mad if Ricochet won, but in my heart, I want Carmelo Hayes to win. I feel like this would be a huge victory for him.
That would. I agree with you on that. Having a win over a former North American champion as the North American champion definitely puts you in the upper echelon. I think that this would put him in the top 3 North American champions. I think it would be Adam Cole, Ricochet, Carmelo Hayes. If he wins this match, this puts him in top 3 for sure. So I agree with you on that. And now we got the triple threat NXT Women's Title Unifications match, where we have the NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose versus the NXT UK Women's Champion Meiko Satomura versus Blair Davenport. Who you got?
I think we kind of went over this last week, and then the way you painted it out made the most sense out of any other way that this could possibly go. So And then with the way they built, they had that little brief standoff with Shayna and Mandy. I for some reason think that has to happen in some shape, way, or form. So, I feel like they're not going to try to harm Mako, and they literally put in Blair, like you said, so she could eat the pin from Mandy. So that's where I feel like it has no other choice but to go, because if Mako lost, I just feel like now you're disrespecting her. Like, I feel like she's the legend in the match. I don't think that the
Right.
legend should eat a pin or submission at all. No one has really, as far as the WWE casual fans go, no one really knows Blair Davenport. They just know her as Will Ospreay's bitch at this point. That's from them, from where they're sitting. From where they're sitting, I don't think
I know what
that
you
way.
mean,
But that's the way they view her. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So they have no emotional attachment to her. Therefore, if she ate the pin from Mandy, I don't think anyone would be mad. You know,
Right.
they're already booing the shit out of her last not this week, but last week, when she tried butting into their feud, saying that I deserve this because I'm number one contender and da 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 da. They're booing her out the stage. I'm like, you know what? That they did it on purpose. They want to get rid of her. They're gonna have her just eat the pin and protect the other two.
Right. That makes I can see that. I also see Blair winning. I you know what it is? I think that the Mandy Shayna face off, I can see Mandy coming up to the main roster. I can see Mandy and Toxic Attraction coming up to the main roster and saying Shayna winning the belt and then Mandy going after Shayna. But I also see Blair pinning Mandy. That way Miko doesn't have to eat a pin. But Blair winning is like, it would be the shocker. I think that would be like the whoa kind of moment. And I think that because Blair is the new woman and they're trying to add value to her, I think that her winning both titles would automatically elevate her. Then you can have Blair versus Mako and put Mako in the mix with girls like Cora Jade and Roxanne and women like that. So I think that Blair is going to win this match. I just have a strong feeling. I feel like Blair's going to come out on top. I just think that it's her time. She's kind of been in the shadows, like number one contendering it since the pandemic in NXT UK. But it's time. I think Blair's going to come out on top. And now
that's true. Some talents do have to go over from the UK. We can't just keep choosing people from NXT. So that actually just makes sense. I don't think Hunter would like call it down like that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
And when you think about it, the NXT UK talent that are still on NXT UK are just going to be coming over to NXT. So it's not like they're leaving. You know what I mean? Like, so somebody got to win. You have to make it so that you show that, all right, NXT UK may not be around anymore, but it was still valuable because NXT UK women, like NXT UK talent, is winning championships over here. So somebody got to take it. So I think that is going to be Blair. But now, for the main event, Braun Breaker, his name has too many B's. Braun Breaker versus Tyler Bate.
The
for
B's and C's are fucking us up today.
Right.
Go ahead.
These B's, bro. The NXT and NXT UK title unification match. Who do you got?
I feel like they want to continue to build up Braun Breaker, and I feel like if he does lose, then he's definitely seeing the main roster soon.
Yeah,
just because he kind of already he's like the perfect like pre-phase default whatever wrestler setup you want if you want to plug someone onto the main roster. So if he wins, actually no. By my theory, I just said no. I want Tyler Bate actually to win, and I actually want Braun Breaker to go to the main roster. I feel like there's not that much that he needs to keep doing over here.
That makes sense. I think that. I'm trying to think because I feel like if Braun were to go to the main roster, that space would be a little bit too crowded, at least right now. But I think that Braun is going to win. I think that Braun is going to win, but I feel like Tyler's going to come incredibly close. I think that if you want to add, like, here's the thing, right? Every big NXT guy that has been pushed to be an eventual world champion or like heading in that direction has always had a landmark NXT moment. It was like that with Keith Lee before obviously he got let go. I feel like he was heading in the direction of world champion when he got pushed to the main roster. His hallmark NXT title moment was when he won the NXT and North American titles.
Yeah.
So I think that was his hallmark moment. Finn Balor won in Japan. That was his hallmark moment. Braun Breaker hasn't had one of those. He's had great title defenses. He's defended in WrestleMania weekend. He defended it on Raw against Dolph Ziggler, but people don't really talk about that much. But him winning both of those titles and creating the NXT World Championship would elevate Braun Breaker to the point where he gets to the main roster. You know the vibes. I'm not going after the U.S. title. I'm going after the world title. I made a world championship. Of course, I want the world championship of this brand. You know what I
You think
mean?
they would set him up with Drew?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I would think that either they would set him up with Drew on Raw, or set him up against Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship.
Ooh, now he's walking.
Gunther
That's a
versus
match
Gunther
right
versus
there.
Gunther versus Gunther versus Braun. I like that. That's two dogs going at it, and they're very much both heavyweight competitors who can both go for a world championship. So I would say go for that.
I like that.
So, but I my prediction is Braun. Braun is gonna win. And now moving on to the last event of the weekend. We made it, y'all. To All Out. AEW All Out live from Chicago. This is their third annual All Out. Obviously, it started as All In 3 years ago in 2019. This is their WrestleMania. And I'm not going to lie, this card is stacked. This may be the best card of the weekend. So let's start with the 0 hour. We got Tomohiro Ishii versus Eddie Kingston. Who you got?
I'm always gonna be Team Eddie Kingston. I love him. That's my boy. I have to represent New York. Come on.
That's a fact. And just off
I
that
just feel
strength,
like, yeah, go ahead.
keep going. Go.
No, it's fine. Let's go.
Nah, because I was gonna give my prediction, but you weren't done. Keep going.
No, go. I was done.
I was gonna say I'm gonna go off of Eddie off of that strength as well. That he's a New York dude, but you have to continue. Keep going. Keep going. What were you gonna say?
No, I just feel like considering all the events that happen and the need to have him on the show, like I don't know if they made him lose. I feel like it'd be a punishment, but I just personally think that why did you rush him back onto out of his suspension to put him back? Like I feel like something important has to happen for Eddie, but it could go either way. It could be he either gets punished or they give him the win. But I feel like Eddie needs to have more wins underneath his belt. I'm sick and tired of watching him run his mouth and cut these amazing promos just to be buried time and time again. So
Agreed
I think it
on
might
that.
go to him. That's just me.
I agree with I agree with that. I think that Eddie's gonna win. I feel like Tony isn't going to, and especially if it's an opponent like Ishii who isn't really tied, who number one is a world-renowned, prestigious competitor, and two, he's not really actively tied into any AEW storyline. So it wouldn't make sense to bring a guy like that in and have him win over Eddie. Because there's no point in Ishii winning if he's just a one-off time competitor. So I'm gonna go with Eddie Kingston. Now we got this nice little juicy trios match. It's not for the trios titles, but it is a trios match. We got FTR and Wardlow versus Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns, which is a banger. Who do you got?
That's kind of hard. But I mean, if I want to go off of who I'd want first team, however, I do feel like they're really high on Jay Lethal for some weird reason. So I feel like I wouldn't be shocked if he won. What do you think?
I think it's going to be Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns. Reason being, I feel like they want to roll out the red carpet for the Motor City Machine Guns, because that's a tag team that can very well go on to compete for some tag team titles in AEW. And I feel like Wardlow has already defeated Jay Lethal for the TNT Championship. To keep Jay Lethal's name kind of relevant, not relevant, he's always going to be relevant, but strong. I think that he needs a win in order to keep his name strong because he's been taking L's. So I think that we're gonna get a Jay Lethal and Motor City Machine Guns win. Now on to the grudge match: Ricky Starks versus Powerhouse Hobbs.
Ricky!
My boy Ricky. Who you got?
Ricky, always Ricky, Team Ricky. I love him. That promo that he cut, where what the fuck did he end it with? It was something about bring your $5 ass to Shy
All
City
Out.
or to Chicago. Yeah. Like, I love him. I love the evolution of his character because he's like, he's cocky, he's arrogant in like a more fun and playful and tasteful way. But it's just nice to see him get angry and gritty for once. Like, I see him get a little like sassy and a little snappy, but like here he was not playing no games. Absolutely no games. He dropped the pretty boy act and he was just like, come on now, come get these hands. You know what I mean? So I feel like he's definitely being set up in a position where he's going to be eventually a champion. He should have been a champion. Like, he's so freaking good. Like, he's so entertaining. Good. He's so good. And he's like a perfect blend of like modern and old school. Like, he's still his own character, is what I like about him, but he isn't too goofy, he isn't too gimmicky. He doesn't do too much extraness in the ring, but he does more than enough to tell a great story. I just love his style. I love his wrestling. I adore every minute he's on the mic. He's just the moment for me, bitch. So Team Ricky over here.
I'm going to go with Ricky Starks as well. I've personally been a fan of Ricky since he was the NWA television champion, which was a little bit ago. But ever since then, he's been on my radar, and I think the guy is just destined to be a world champion. I think that based off of the buildup of this feud, I think that Ricky is being set up to be a champion. I feel like Will Hobbs is being set up to be a champion as well, but I think that Ricky got to get his lick first because that man has been putting in work for years. He has a fire to him, and he's red. He's white hot right now. So I'm gonna go with Ricky. I'm gonna go with Ricky Starks. Now, there was a casino ladder match for a future AEW world title shot, but I honestly don't know who's involved. So I'm not even going to get into that.
I don't give a fuck about the casino ladder matches. I'm sorry.
Because nobody who ever wins those matches, nobody who wins those matches wins the title. So it's just like, whatever.
It's just there. But go ahead.
So we have the AEW World Trios Championship Tournament final. I was going to say the four remaining teams, I think it's like Best Friends. Let me make sure that I have this correctly. So we have Best Friends. I think the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are in there. I believe the Dark Order is in there. And there's like one more team, and I think that the finals are supposed to be decided tonight. But I'm gonna go with Kenny and the Bucks to win the whole thing. I feel like they're the most attractive trio in AEW. I feel like they're eventually just gonna take it all. Who do you got?
No, I agree, especially with the way they brought Kenny Omega back. I just don't feel like they would have brought him back to not utilize him in a bigger way. And I feel like when it came to the Elite, they have spent. Sorry, I'm a little bit like nasally right now, but
you're good.
I feel like they spent more than enough time putting over all their other talents, and it'd be nice to finally have a moment where they all get to shine. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's like, all right, we gave back to the community and all that. You know, I feel like now is time for them to shine through, show their talents. And I feel like if Kenny Omega's back now, I feel like he's back with a different plot, a different scheme, something else that he wants to. I'm sorry, I'm like losing my train of thought. But I feel like, I just feel like they're going to do something with these three now. So I'm just gonna go with them.
I agree. Well, I agree. So I mean, but finally, we got some black women. The AEW TBS Championship. We got Jade versus Athena. Who do you got?
I'll be honest. I'm not really feeling Athena too much in AEW. Um, I feel like she's not gonna overthrow Jade. I feel like it's gonna be a long time coming for anyone overthrows Jade. So I'm just taking it as just another match where she's gonna not squash her necessarily, but she's just gonna take the W.
I think Athena's gonna win. I
Why?
think that Athena's gonna win because Jade has held that title for so long and has elevated it to such new heights. Um, but at the same time, I think Jade is gonna lose, but I think she's gonna be first in line for AEW World Women's Title shot. I think that she deserves to be the World Women's Championship, and that's the premise of her losing the TBS Championship because it's like Jade is so money that she deserves to be the best champion in the company, and I think that her being the World Women's Champion would do that.
Now
So
these are facts because if she was the world champion for AEW, I feel like that belt would have mattered more, at least for
a
these
lot more.
past months that Thunder Rosa was. I'd say was now because she has to drop the belt.
Yeah.
But I feel like the TBS championship actually feels more important than the world title. So that's actually a very good point that she brought up.
So going on from that, we got a couple more matches. Jungle Boy versus Christian Cage. I have Jungle Boy, and to be honest, I don't really care about this feud like that. But I'm gonna go with Jungle Boy because I feel like after everything that this feud has been built up to be, which there's actually been a solid build up for it. I think it was meant for Jungle Boy to win.
Yeah, I don't really feel like since Christian Cage has been here that he was ever meant to be someone that we take seriously enough to a point we're going to see him, I guess, be I can't explain it. I don't feel like since he's been here at all and he lost he held a belt, right? He held a belt
Mm-hmm.
temporarily there. Yes,
He had
no.
an impact. He had the Impact World Title.
Okay, no, so he didn't have this belt. Yeah, no, it felt like the entire time he's been putting people over, so I'm not expecting for him to win any major feud. I just feel like he's there just to have a veteran and put something on someone's resume that hey, like I took down Christian Cage, like
Mm.
that's it. I think he's fine with that. I think he's fine with with that booking decision as well. So yeah, I'm
I
gonna go Jungle Boy.
I agree with that. As far as like his importance in AEW, I don't think he was there to be a world champion. I think he was just there to kind of elevate the young talent, and we're seeing
He's here
that
for a
with
check.
here. He's here for a check, you know. So going to the AEW World Tag Team titles, we got Swerve and Our Glory, which is Swerve and Keith Lee versus the Acclaimed. Who do you got?
To me, the Acclaim is like a joke. Um,
Wow.
like I they just come off like a joke to me. I never took them seriously any feud that they're in. I don't think that I foresee them being tag team champions anytime soon.
Mm.
Um, and I think they're gonna go for a really lengthy reign with Swerve and Keith Lee that they're gonna try to continue on. So I just feel like they're gonna be fed to them, and that's it.
I
That's just
believe
my
the
take on it.
I believe the opposite. I think that the Acclaimed are going to win. They're the hottest tag team in AEW right now. They
Really?
are so fun to watch. Their feud with the Gun Club wasn't supposed to slap the way that they did, but it did. I feel like the Acclaimed are like a modern day, like if the New Age Outlaws were black and modern, it would be the Acclaimed. I feel like they give me that vibe of like modern day New Age Outlaws. Um, but I like them a lot, and I feel like they are the hottest thing going, and I feel like it just makes sense to put the belts on them. So I'm going with the Acclaimed. Um, so then there's that.
Let you have your
Then
opinion.
what happened?
Go ahead. So let
going
you
from
have
that,
your
we got
opinion
the
on that.
going from that, we got the four way. We got the four way for the AEW Interim Women's World Championship. Obviously, it being interim because unfortunately Thunder Rosa is on the shelf. We wish her a speedy recovery. But I want to know who you got between Tony Storm, Dr. Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Hikaru Shida.
Don't think they'll give it to Sheeta because we already seen her with the belt. Britt Baker, I feel like you'd be a fucking idiot to give her the belt. She already has enough accolades underneath her belt. She's fine. She's good. I think it would feel right if Toni Storm had it. Although they had built Jamie Hayter to feel intimidating with the way they had Thunder Rosa fucking running away to the bathroom and shit.
Yeah.
They definitely had built her up to feel like she is worthy, I guess, of being champion. But I feel like this is Tony's moment, and I don't think anyone would complain if Tony held the belt. You know what I
I agree.
mean?
I
What
agree
do you
with that
think?
100. I agree with that 100%. I think that Tony is going to win this because I feel like, once again, I think this is going to be the best creative option for AEW because now we can have the Toni Storm Thunder Rosa match that we've been speculating and kind of building towards for that title in the first place. Like, so I think that we're going to get Tony to win this one. And I just feel like that's the right move to do, like you said. And then for the last match on the card as of right now, Lionheart, Chris Jericho versus the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. Who you got?
Brian. I just feel Brian. I haven't been keeping up with that feud, but I feel like Brian. I don't know. I feel like Jericho's in like a position right now where he's very well respected, at least by like, the audience in AEW. I feel like he's like well respected and established enough that he really could feud with anybody, and it's never a loss for him because he's Chris fucking Jericho at the end of the day. He'll lose that feud and then be set up in another feud in the next couple of weeks, and it is what it is. He lost and he's still going to run his mouth because he's Chris fucking Jericho. I just think that Brian's gonna win. That's just me. What do you think?
I agree. Bryan Danielson is going to win, especially since this is kind of like an unofficial match for the custody of Daniel Garcia. I think that this is going to be this is going to be like the tipping point for Daniel Garcia to embrace his true identity as a wrestler and not a sports entertainer, because it's really been the whole Danielson Jericho thing has really been rooted in the feud between the Blackpool Combat Club and the Jericho Appreciation Society, which is like sports entertainers versus pro wrestlers. So I think that we're gonna get finally Danielson winning, which encourages Daniel Garcia to be a pro wrestler. Now, they don't have an AEW World Championship match on the card, but if they do set up something like you're good, if they do set up something last minute, who would you put against Jon Moxley for the AEW World Title?
That's hard. Because I honestly don't even know. That's the thing. I haven't been like keeping up steadily with AEW for me to even like think of someone that is like worthy at this point in time to go against him. So like I'll just hear your take.
MJF. This would be poetic. You have Jon Moxley, the advertised heart and soul of AEW. You have MJF, the guy who's on an expiring contract in AEW, and they're having a championship match in Chicago. Kind of sounds like Punk Cena, 2011 Money in the Bank. It's a callback. I feel like if they were to have an MJF Jon Moxley, it would be the modern day Punk versus Cena, and
It's
that's
your
automatic
brain for me.
I think that would be perfect timing. He shows up, and to be honest, it doesn't really need much promotion. Jon Moxley is already on a high right now. I'm the heart and soul. I'm the undisputed champ. Who's CM Punk? MJ walks in. See you on Sunday. He wins the belt. He runs through the crowd. He gives Tony Khan a kiss. He blows a kiss. He's out of there. And now that starts. But I think that would be legitimately perfect. But we don't know what's going to happen.
Beautiful booking right there.
Thanks. But that concludes our show for today. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in, tapping in with us. Wherever you guys are tuning in, tapped in with us on, let us know your predictions. We're going to be going live on Sunday after All Out. So tap in, tune in with us, and we hope to see you guys there. Thank you guys so much. And we hope to see you guys next week on the show or on Sunday after All Out.